In the 32 years since the OJ Simpson trial, several conspiracy theories have made the rounds, making claims about Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman's real killer. Given the numerous instances of incredibly stupid evidence handling and lack of correct forensic procedures followed by LAPD that grisly June morning, the case was ripe for opportunities to do this. Of the theories, one stubbornly continues to stand out from the others and never really faded away. The real killer was OJ's eldest son, Jason Simpson, and OJ allowed himself to take the fall. But why do so many not just think but insist on this? And on the basis of what evidence? Welcome to this evening's Fireside Chiller. Thanks for watching my Jason Simpson video. Before we get into the conspiracy theory, please consider taking a second to subscribe to our channel. It doesn't just help our channel, it helps our actual real-life small business. You see, we still exist in this place called land, and by supporting our videos, you are directly helping to keep our murder tour limos crawling around the dark streets of LA. And if you make it to the end and do in fact like what you see, you know what to do. Like literally everything OJ Simpson, the Jason angle is fairly complex. It depends on a basic familiarity with the forensics of the crime scene at Bundy, as well as standard law enforcement procedure. Some of it also relies on peripheral information about Nicole's personal life and the restaurant where she last ate and where Ron worked, the Metzluna. Some details on which this theory rests never made it to the trial. The evidence supporting the Jason's theory is circumstantial, spanning his personal psychiatric history, his relationship with his stepmother, and his alibi the night of the murders. I want to emphasize that for Jason to have been Nicole and Ron's actual killer, OJ would have had to be either innocent or at least Jason's accomplice. So what grounds are there to question whether OJ could have been solely responsible for the double homicide, or even responsible at all? Most of the Jason theory was promoted by late PI William Deere. I'm going to do my best to break down the argument into a digestible block so you don't have to, and parse through it to discuss the merits and flaws that I personally find. Please bear in mind that the following analysis is mine, Adams alone, and not meant to be reflective of any official Graveline position or information purveyed on our Westside Gory tour. Jason Lamar Simpson, OJ's older son and second child with his first wife Marguerite Whiteley, was born on April 21st, 1970. At the time of Nicole and Ron's death, Jason was 24, working as a sous chef or assistant chef. When Jason was 9, OJ and Marguerite divorced, some say at least partially as a result of Jason's 2-year-old sister Erin drowning in their swimming pool at Rockingham. Jason would spend time living with both his mother and his father. Significant flaws in the prosecution's collection and handling of evidence can and have been used to argue that OJ may not have acted alone. The following is a rundown of perceived errors or suspicions in the original crime scene evidence. 1. Blood samples matching Nicole were found on the navy socks collected from OJ's bedroom, but these stains were not discovered until weeks after the socks were originally bagged. And the presence of an anticoagulating chemical called EDTA, which is not typically found in human blood, both lay the grounds for the belief that the socks may have been planted. A similar thing happened with a small amount of blood found by police in OJ's Bronco. While blood matching OJ and both victims was found in several places both inside and outside the Bronco, the presence of EDTA in OJ's, in combination with a small amount of the sample given by OJ to police being missing, and a highly unprofessional chain of custody handling of that sample, similarly raised questions about the way the blood arrived there. For some time after it was impounded, OJ's Bronco was not supervised, so blood could in theory have been planted there. Plus, the evidence photos of the stains were taken after this unattended period. A blood stain was found on Nicole's back gate 3 weeks after the murders occurred and the scene was hosed down, but apparently went unnoticed at the original crime scene. The defense, again, argued that testing came up positive for EDTA. 2. Apparently the DNA found underneath Nicole's fingernails didn't match OJ's blood or either victim. 3. The lack of any tear in the finger of the left-hand Eris isotoner men's black glove found at the crime scene on Bundy is inconsistent with the cut on OJ's left hand at the time of the murders. 4. A set of bloody footprints found leading from the front patio where the murders occurred through the side yard and out of the back gate matched a men's size 12 limited edition Bruno Magli shoe. The defense argued that the second set of footprints was found at the crime scene. However, the DA maintained they were all from the same shoe. 5. Finally, there is some speculation that the motive for murders was drug-related. Insinuation that Nicole and her friend Faye Resnick were very into the party scene on the LA club circuit, and even allegations that OJ partook in some of it, along with innuendo about a string of unexplained murders of other Metzaluna staffers, all fuel this. Some argue Ron Goldman was a drug dealer who stopped by Bundy that night to bring Nicole cocaine. Probably the most solid evidence in favor of the drug angle is that the heinous wound to Nicole's neck, one that severed both her jugular and carotid arteries, nearly decapitating her, known as the Colombian necktie, is sometimes made by South American drug cartels when murdering those who double-cross them. Like lots of children of the rich and famous, Jason Simpson struggled emotionally as a child. Any speculation about OJ's fathering aside, it could not have been easy for any male child to be the son of one of the most well-liked, athletic, and handsome personalities in the country. Around 1991, Jason was prescribed Depakote, an anticonvulsant medication. In his deposition for OJ's civil trial, Jason stated that he was taking Depakote for epilepsy. However, according to investigator Deere, Jason suffered from a condition known, fittingly, as IED, or intermittent explosive disorder, which is characterized by recurrent sudden episodes of impulsive, aggressive, or violent behavior that are grossly out of proportion to the situation. Some people liken it to a Jekyll and Hyde-like condition, when someone will randomly erupt in rage. Incidentally, the anticonvulsant medication Depakote also has off-label usage as a mood stabilizer to treat IED, so Jason may have lied under oath when he told the lawyers in his deposition he had epilepsy, in order to avoid fielding questions about potential mood stabilizers. Jason had a significant history of violent outbursts. In one infamous episode when he was 16, Jason became so angry that he took a baseball bat to a life-size bronze statue OJ had provocatively built of himself at his Rockingham estate, hitting it hard enough to actually damage one area, while repeatedly screaming, "I hate my father." He also had a record of physical violence against others. He attacked an employer over a pay dispute, for which he was put on probation in 1996. Multiple ex-girlfriends of Jason have claimed he attacked them. One accused him of using one of his chef's knives to cut large amounts of her hair off. Another that he tried to suffocate her. She later said she thought she would die. There are other details that contribute to the theory. Jason went away to boarding school at the Army and Naval Academy in Carlsbad, California, where he could have received training in hand-to-hand combat and knife fighting. He has been seen at least 2 separate photos wearing a wool knit ski cap just like the one found at the crime scene. It's been argued that the presence of dog hairs found on the crime scene cap meant that it belonged to someone other than OJ, who did not own a dog. Finally, there is the contention that immediately after the murders, OJ hired a criminal attorney for Jason. Jason's alibi has drawn a lot of suspicion. In his deposition, he claimed that he was working on the night of the murders at his job as a sous chef for Jackson's Restaurant in Beverly Hills. It is generally accepted that Nicole and Ron were murdered sometime between 10:15 and 10:45 p.m. Jason said he left work at around 10 or 10:30. However, a subsequent interview with one of his colleagues claimed that night that the restaurant was very slow and they would have closed significantly earlier, closer to 9:30. Moreover, Jason did not punch out of the clock that night, but instead, he made a written note of what time he left, which could have been falsified. Jason claimed that his girlfriend picked him up from work in his Jeep and took him to her apartment in Hollywood, where he dropped her off. Jason said he went straight home. When P.I. Deere later tracked down Jason's then-girlfriend, she claimed to have picked Jason up at about an hour earlier at 9:30 and then first brought him into her apartment where he came inside and watched TV for a while before leaving. Odd. But even if Jason had a shaky alibi, what would motivate him to murder his stepmother? There's a few contributing theories. First, according to Bill Deere, Jason had decided to go off his medications in the months leading up to the murders and was reportedly extremely unstable. Allegedly, he had checked himself into Cedars-Sinai Mental Health Ward that January, 5 months before the murders, during when he told an attendant that he was, quote, about to rage. Investigator Deere also claims to have located an old storage unit near Brentwood where Jason had an old diary that said, "I cut away my problems with the knife. I am tired of being Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and if anybody messes with my family, I'll kill them." In that same storage unit, he also found a knife with the initials JS inscribed into it. According to Jason's deposition, he and Nicole mostly got along well. As he got older, Nicole sometimes began taking Jason out with her when she went dancing in clubs. It's possible that he became infatuated with her and maybe obsessed. According to OJ and Nicole's friend Ron Shipp, in the weeks leading up to her death, Nicole told Ron she was being followed by someone, quote, either OJ or Jason. The immediate motive that Jason might have had for killing Nicole pertains to the fact that on the night of her and Ron's death, her family was not actually originally scheduled to eat at the Metzluna, but at Jason's workplace, Jackson's. According to Jason, Nicole changed her mind last minute because Jackson's was too pricey for her, having just gone on a budget following the finalization of her and OJ's divorce, and possibly too out of the way to take her tired little kids. The theory goes that when Jason learned Nicole changed her mind, he snapped. He drove to Bundy and began attacking her. Then Ron, bringing Nicole's mom's glasses, walked in on it, so Jason murdered them both. OJ was either present as an accomplice, went over after to inspect the crime scene, or he lent his Bruno Magli shoes to Jason, probably thinking they were ugly ass, and was not there at all. Either way, OJ then decided that his fatherly duty required him to take the fall to protect Jason. Let's evaluate. The Jason theory is not without its merits. Now, not all of the reasoning presented above regarding flaws in the evidence is accurate. For example, the argument so heavily trafficked by the defense about EDTA found in blood samples was disproven later by FBI testing, finding amounts so trace they could have been ingested through food or drink into human blood. The mystery DNA found under Nicole's fingernails was later analyzed by more powerful PCR analysis and found to be hers. Similarly, it's not that hard to account for there not being any tear in the glove found at Bundy, even if it was worn by OJ, if we assume, as most do, that it came off during the struggle with Ron before OJ's finger got cut. It's more than likely that the dog hair found on the ski cap belonged to Kato, Nicole's Akita, the only witness to the crimes. Jason's knife could have had his name inscribed on it if it was part of his chef's cutlery or knife collection. It's almost certain that the person following Nicole that Ron Shipp referred to was OJ. After their separation, OJ notoriously stalked Nicole, and there are several confirmed and alleged instances of it.
Could you get someone over here now to 325 Gretna Green? He's back. Please.
Okay, what does he look like?
He's OJ Simpson. I think you know his record. Could you just send somebody over here?
She may have at first thought it was Jason, but I'm fairly sure that by her death, Nicole knew very well she was being stalked by OJ. Notwithstanding errors like these, there is a pretty decent case that has been made that OJ had help from someone with the killings. If you're interested, I'd recommend checking out Chris Todd's work on this. It actually focuses more on a mafia-related angle, and I gotta say he makes a lot of really interesting points. One of the most compelling is that OJ's accomplice actually had the first name Charlie used by OJ to name his accomplice in his hypothetical, if I did it, account of the murders. Again, I can't vouch for the validity of all Todd's findings, but they certainly did raise my eyebrows. Exculpating OJ altogether is quite a tall order, and I am not the guy to argue that case. To my knowledge, there is no exculpatory evidence to clearly demonstrate that Jason Simpson was innocent in the killing of his stepmother Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman. But by the same token, there is no compelling evidence, either forensic or blood, to support the theory that Jason did it. An obvious rebuttal to that would be that Jason was not ever fully investigated or questioned by authorities in 1994. This is true. However, if he was involved, there would still almost have to be some kind of blood or forensic evidence pointing his way, which there simply isn't, nor are there any witness accounts placing Jason at Bundy between 10:15 and 10:45 that night. When arguing his theory, Inspector Deere gets around that by asserting that the murders took place as early as 9:59 p.m. when Nicole's watch stopped. But we know Ron Goldman left Metzaluna between 9:45 and 10, but stopped at his apartment to shower and change before heading to Bundy, so it's not likely he arrived much before 10:15. There's also no evidence to confirm Deere's claim about Nicole's stopwatch. The detail about OJ retaining a lawyer for Jason is also not entirely accurate. What actually happened was that OJ, thinking that his two adult children, Jason and Arnell, may be subpoenaed or questioned after the murders, preemptively had Johnny Cochran represent them after learning about the killings. Once Johnny was hired by OJ to be on his defense team, his counsel to each child was replaced by two other individual attorneys. So any legal representation Jason had was also provided to Arnell. The business about the conflicting alibi with Jason and his girlfriend also does not have to imply guilt. After all, the alibis were similar, and there's plenty of other reasons for one of them to give a shaky alibi, apart from Jason being the killer. Either one could have been true to reflect what actually occurred and clear Jason of involvement. Another issue I take is that OJ Simpson would just take the fall for his son. OJ was at core an immensely self-centered, malignant narcissist. He had no problem putting himself before his loved ones, and did so actually on a regular basis. When you walked into his house at Rockingham, OJ's walls were plastered with photos only of him, or of him but with other people. That is not to say that OJ wouldn't have taken the fall for Jason if Jason did these killings, only that I think it is an assumption worth carefully examining. I will say if Jason was the actual killer and OJ helped, it is one of the few alternate explanations of OJ's arriving late to being picked up for his limo ride at Rockingham and his bizarre, rushed, anxious behavior when they left for LAX. Jason was clearly an emotionally complex young man who, much like his dad, struggled with personal demons and anger management. I just can't get from that to him murdering his stepmother of 15 years because she changed a dinner plan. Nicole was not without her flaws, but one would be hard-pressed to find anyone who knew her and had a negative word to say about her. Still, we do have rare examples like Nick Reiner where the unthinkable does occur. I give the likelihood of Jason having committed the murders a 0.05% chance. The more pertinent question for me is whether OJ had an accomplice, and I do believe that this has never been totally put to rest. The cases that have been made in support of that conspiracy theory point to evidence that is both more abundant and also more compelling than the Jason evidence. Even today, I personally struggle to rule out that possibility about the events on the night of June 12, 1994. But what is your opinion? Was it OJ alone, OJ and Jason, Jason alone, or someone else? With that, we conclude this week's Fireside Chiller. I hope you have enjoyed it. If so, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Get your free LA Crimes delivery ASAP at www.graveline.rip, and great gory, macabre content all week long at Graveline Tours on IG or Facebook, and at Graveline Tours RIP on TikTok. Of course, if you are in or near LA, come take our Eric Lyle and OJ Westside Gory Funeral Limo Sightseeing Tour. And if you aren't, order a piece of merch to feel like you did. And above all, remember, you only die once.